Hello, Dr. Kevin Passero here. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about a couple important facts you need to know about fish oil. Now, I picked fish oil because for many years, fish oil was the number one selling supplement on the market. It still ranks up there as one of the things that the average person probably is most likely to take. That's because there's a lot of good research on omega-3 fatty acids in fish oil. And the reality is that in the average modern diet, people don't get enough. We get way more omega-6 fatty acids, which kind of fuel the pathways in the body for inflammation, and not enough omega-3s, which fuel the pathways in the body that shut down inflammation. Now, both omega-6s and omega-3s are essential fatty acids, meaning we have to get them from our diet, and they do need to be in balance. But the problem lies where we have a modern diet that's very low in omega-3s because we eat a lot of processed food. And most of the animal food that we eat is factory farmed and raised. So it has very little omega-3 fatty acids. So our blood chemistry ends up really high in omega-6s, really low in omega-3s, which is a perfect recipe for chronic inflammation, which we know is a major contributing factor to all the most common chronic diseases we face in this country, including cancer and heart disease and diabetes and dementia. So omega-3s are important, and a lot of people do take them. Now, in my clinic, I always recommend we do a simple blood test to actually look at what your omega-3, omega-6 ratio looks like, because if you don't need it, why take it? And the blood tests are very good at determining who actually needs supplementation. Now, the research generally shows us that mild supplementation on a regular basis is not going to be harmful. So a lot of people do choose to take a fish oil. And here are the things that you need to know about it. Number one, of course, is how pure is your fish oil? Fish oil comes from the oceans, and our oceans are massively polluted at this point. You can't really draw a fish sample without finding in it some level of dioxins, which are persistent pesticides from persistent chemicals from pesticide and herbicide runoff, heavy metals. We're finding microplastics. There are tons of toxins in our ocean, unfortunately. So number one, you want to use a fish oil that's been sourced from small fish, usually sardines and anchovies, because they have a lot of omega-3s and they're very small, so they don't concentrate a lot of the toxins. But every good fish oil producing company should do a purification process, usually some sort of molecular distillation process that's able to create undetectable levels of PCBs, dioxins, heavy metals, and many other toxins. Now, if you just walk into your local big box store, your local pharmacy, and pick the cheapest fish oil on the shelf, you're very likely to get one that has a fair amount of contaminants. So this is a product that I always recommend patients spend a little bit of extra money and do their research and get a product that has third-party verification in order to show that it's been through a highly purified process to remove all of those toxins. So that's important. And they've done studies through Consumer Reports where they pull batches and they find high levels of toxins in some fish oil products on the market. So I feel very comfortable working with the companies that I use and the products that I formulate, knowing that the manufacturers provide for me that third-party testing showing purification. Now, number two is oxidation. You can have very pure fish oil, but as an oil, it gets oxidized very easily, which happens when it's exposed to oxygen and heat. So you know, if you catch a fish when you're fishing out in summer day and you leave it sitting out on the dock, it doesn't take very long to come back and really smell that bad fishy odor. And that's oxidation occurring. And oxidation happens during fish oil. And during the extraction process, they have to squeeze the oil out of the fish. And that requires sometimes, mechanical pressing, which can create heat. And it's an environment outside of the water and outside of the fish's body. So of course, there's a lot of oxygen. So there's a couple things that good companies do to prevent oxidation of their fish oil. Number one, they do everything under very low temperatures. So even though the process of pressing is going to create friction and going to create heat, they can cool the extraction environment down enough that you can retard that heat from going up and keep the oil pure. Number two, good companies will extract their oil in a nitrogen flushed environment. So in the areas where the oil is actually getting extracted, stored, and then before it gets into the soft gel capsule, they're flushing the entire area with nitrogen, which pushes out all the oxygen, so there can be no oxidative degradation to the oil. So low temperature and a nitrogen flushed environment are key things to look at when looking for a good fish oil product. Now, the third thing has to do with what's actually in your fish oil product. Because a lot of fish oil products out there, patients come in and I do the test and I say, geez, you need some omega-3 supplementation, or you need to include more fish in your diet or other sources of omega-3s. And they say, well, it's so funny, Dr. Passero, I take a fish oil product. And when I look at it, I can say, well, this is why it's not actually working to meet the needs that your body is requiring for optimal levels of omega-3 and omega-6. Now, this has to do with the dose. Now, the dose generally on the outside of the bottle will say something like 1,000 milligrams per capsule. But if you look at the details on the serving size on the label, you have to look for the two most important omega-3 fatty acids, the EPA and the DHA, because those are the ones that our body has trouble producing that we really need to supplement with to get the maximum amount of benefit from fish oil supplementation. So I can find a fish oil supplement that says 1,000 milligrams per soft gel, but it may only contain, let's say, a total of 200 or 300 milligrams combined of that really important EPA and DHA. Whereas the product that I prescribe in my clinic and the product that I formulated has 1,000 milligrams of combined DHA and EPA per one soft gel. So it can be up to 3 to 4 times stronger than the average brand. Now, the only reason why the other brands are using less EPA and DHA is because that's the expensive stuff. So if you're looking, to sell a product at a low discounted rate, you're going to put less of the active ingredient in it. So those are 3 really important factors. You have number 1, purification, number 2, oxidation, and number 3, potency. If you combine all 3 of those together in one product, you'll have a fish oil omega-3 fatty acid product that can actually move the needle when it comes to your health. So thanks for listening. This is Dr. Passero, and I'll see you next time.